Hey, what's going on YouTube? Hope everybody's having a great day. Want to make a quick update for you and kind of celebrate. You know, I'm absolutely
Jack to the
tits. Jack to the tits, baby.
Jack to the
tits. No, but for real, two really good days in a row, seeing a lot of pressure that's kind of building up, and I think that we're going to soar even more. But what I wanted to do, or my objective of this video, was to get you guys prepared for. And I'm not saying it's going to happen. I don't want to spread any FUD, but I just want to get you mentally right that if they decide they want to let us run up today, that we could potentially be sitting at a weekend where we're staring at some big green numbers, a lot of healthy profit in our accounts. And I think that's part of their game plan. We can kind of look at that like, oh, I would really like to see that in my bank account, and then possibly see a little bit of a drop off on Monday to potentially scare some people into folding their hands. So I want you guys to be aware that we might see something like that, right? We might see it this weekend where we go in and we might even run for the remainder today. There's another hour and 7 minutes left in the market today. And then we obviously have Thursday and Friday. So I would expect us to continue to run for the rest of this week, but I could definitely see us going into the weekend around, $30. Everybody looking at this like, holy crap, like you get to just, you focus your attention on it. So understanding that this isn't the squeeze, number one. It's great to see that we're moving this direction, and obviously we're picking up some of our friends that were left, in January around $20. So I'm happy to bring them up on the rocket ship. But again, know that we could see some potential selling pressure on Monday, and that is just going to be a scare tactic. So just get your mind right and prepared that is something that we could be seeing. So moving on, we'll jump into some of the charts for today. I can show you kind of what I've been working on. And then we will move on to some of the options flow data to hopefully give you guys some more confirmation porn that, we're bullish. We're heading the right way. So we did see most of my trend lines have been followed. If you actually look here, let me see if you guys can make sure you see this. So we did, these are the dotted lines are basically previous trend lines that, have been broken out of, up or down. It doesn't really matter. But you can see we were kind of in a downward trend right here around 909. And then we broke out right here. Actually, no, right here, I'm sorry, at about 1010. And we did see some positive up, like my trend line is actually pointing that we're going to keep going and going and going. Right here, it did identify that we might have a downtrend, but it looks like we broke right out of this. You can see this blue arrow right here, and we're pumping back up. So I expect that we'll continue riding this up. Really, we'll stay probably in this channel right here. And if we go above this, we will actually have a new trend line that I'll build, and it might show some more positive trajectory. So looking absolutely strong. I was afraid here. I thought we might follow this trend, but we snapped right out of it. So you can see exactly right here. So understanding the charts from the technical standpoint are looking absolutely beautiful. We're trading above the trends. We're trading above the VWAP by quite a bit. So that should get you guys a little bit wet in the panties. Moving on from the charts, we can look at some of this option chain data. I've been liking this stuff. I think it's showing a lot of what's going behind the scenes of some of this more big institutional money. I dove into this a little bit on my previous video, explained what some of these different colors means when we do look at this chain. And so if you need help with that, you can reference my old video, but if not, we're just going to jump right into it. So here's what we're looking at, guys. I want to identify that we are basically still getting a lot of basically contracts that are being filled above the ask, which people are just rushing into their orders. So if you see this AA, that means they're asking above the asking price. They just want to get their contracts, right? So looking strong there, and the price continues to go up, right? So on these option contracts, we'll see that daily, which is something that I think is quite important. We have some big money loading up around these June 18th calls. So we have, $140,000, $449,000 people getting into their positions, $824,000 on June 4th on the $15 strike. And one thing I do want to highlight, I don't want to talk too much about the puts because we did talk about this yesterday, but why this is unique is just because I think that it goes to show you that there wasn't that much open interest. There's not that much open interest because these are not huge orders. But when something comes in yellow, that means this single order, which is a live timestamp, right? So at 9:06 a.m., this order that came in with the expiration date of 6/25/2021 at an $18 strike price, this put, and they did it when the price is $19.39. They bought 500 contracts, all right, with that $18 strike. It was $200,000 in value. But the yellow means that that single order, they exceeded the whole entire open interest that was even on that option position. So one, that indicates to me there's people obviously could jump in later, but there's not that much open interest in it. And also looking at these puts, the actual strike prices, $18.20. To give you guys a little bit of reference, like back this time next week, the price for puts like this, the strike prices were like between $12 and $8. So even the puts, the people that are betting the stock is going to go down, have way increased what they're betting, like that strike prices they're betting around. So again, I think that that's very, very bullish. We also have some strong calls. These are ones that kind of got me the most excited. Was if you look here, 528, they have a strike price of 22. They put $125,000 on this. So the IV is looking at 443. This is a nice option. And I'm actually curious to see. It's the only one that was purchased there today. But this person might know something because their strikes are quite higher compared to the other ones. Like the other strike prices that are like in the $40 range, $25, $30 range are all a little bit farther out. This is expiring this Friday. So again, going back to my first point, I believe that they could see us run. We could see a run to 20, 22, 25, 30 before the weekend ends. And then we might get slammed on Monday. Hopefully not scaring these people, because we, being that we've been in it for so long, we know that we're not really subject to that mind games. Like that's not gonna bother us too much. But I am fearful of the new guys. So if you have friends that have been in here that are questioning about taking their profits, let them know this is not what we're looking for. It definitely shows that we're headed the right direction. But if they sell on Monday, if they panic into something, if we do see any negative pressure, they're going to be kicking themselves in the ass. So I want you guys to understand that. Also, I should have did this at the beginning of the video, but I didn't. Cheers. I am having a nice little fucking cerveza because I am celebrating. It's been a great day. We've had 2 massive gainer days. So some interesting things that I wanted to show you guys. So this is happening in some YouTube channels. It's not just one. There's actually a couple. But touching again on what's kind of going on. If you see here, the squeeze has started. You will see it reach its peak by Friday. That's when I would sell. Friday, that's when I would sell. Friday, that's when I could sell. Also, the food names are kind of funny. But why I'm even bringing this up is because we're seeing bots in action by doing this, right? And so if you're a YouTube viewer and you're on somebody's channel, and let's say you're not super educated on really what's going on, you bought into this and you are with the movement, but you're just learning as you go, this is how they attack you. This is how they prey on you, right? And so they're even they're framing the approach as if they're fellow apes, right? So I want you guys to be careful about what you're seeing here, because they're trying to set you up for, like what I explained, that on, we see continued growth this week, and then on that Monday, or maybe even the entirety of next week, I don't know, it's hard to say. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, but we might see some downward pressure, and you guys need to be prepared for that, right? And just to give you guys another example of this, if you look, $50, $40 to $50 top, $50, what a time to be alive, $50, $50, $50. So understand that's what we're dealing with, guys. And this is going to be spread across the majority of the guys that we all love watching, right? So understand that. I'm going to try and be on guard, and if I see any of that shit, I'm just going to exit out. They're getting the axe. So important stuff. I do want to show you guys too the Fintel data, just because we haven't looked at it. It hasn't just been where it was, but I assume that's because, number one, and I'm sure you guys have seen Matt Kors talk about this, some of the Ortex data that we've been getting has been kind of skewed when it's been looking at short interest and things like that. So I would imagine that probably can fall all the way down to Fintel as well. But we'll take a look at some of the institutional buyers for the past couple of days, see if there's been anything that has kind of popped up. Fintel is taking forever to load. That's okay. Okay, here we go. So we're looking on the 26th. Let's see, just for today, the 13Fs that we're filing. So we got JP Morgan's Insurance Trust. We have a lot of their smaller companies, like their subsidiaries, are all buying. Look, JP Morgan's on here a bunch. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Let's see if there's actually any crazy positions. House funds, they definitely increased their position by a lot, 11,000%. So that is good. And I'm seeing if there's anything else very significant. Let's go past the 26th. Let's look down to the 25th and see if there's anything in here. Oh, BlackRock. Looks like they filed another 13F. Let's see when this is actually effective. The 31st. So that's like a common trend. I don't like all these effective dates for the majority of these 13Fs are the 31st is when a lot of these guys made or kind of dug their heels in and set their positions. But interesting to see that BlackRock did after they filed, it looks like they went in on another one of their ownerships and bought in as well, right? And so this advisory too is kind of important. This fund is listed as a child fund of BlackRock, and if that institution has disclosed ownership in the security, then these positions will not be double counted when calculating total shares and total value. To me, indicates an increase in position or a new position for another child of their fund, which is essentially them, right? So that's interesting to see. I didn't notice that. So BlackRock came back in. And then I'm looking to see if there's any giant ones. The greens are going to indicate new positions. So those would be people that didn't have shares that now have shares. So we have 558,000 from QCSTRX. All good stuff. We want to look at some of the short interest data. We can look at this now.
Object to the test.
Hits. I don't know why Fintel is being so slow. All right, we're sitting at a squeeze score of 76%. If you guys have been following me for a while, you know that this score definitely shows sentiment. I've explained this to you, but it definitely does not mean anything in terms of like where I think that we're at. Obviously, this is at one of the lower points, and you see what the stock is doing right now. We've seen it be all the way in the 90s, and it's like we've celebrated it and cheered around this number all like, huddle around it, like we're kids around a campfire, listen to scary stories. But it's just not, to me, I'm less and less am I holding any sort of value on it. But I figure I'd show it. And we are seeing them run out of shares again as of today. So at one point, they had 600,000 shares. I mean, they're burning through them. And so look at this. The shares are getting borrowed right now, and the price is still increasing. So imagine that you being in their shoes right now. It's like a losing war. I would just, every day you would come into work, you just would be like, can I just go home already? If you were an employee here. And all these guys that make all their money in bonuses at the end of the year and stuff. I mean, what happens? You get a negative bonus, they take it out what they paid you. If all your traders and stuff, everybody that's been advising you to continue shorting this, maybe you owe them. No, but really, like, the truth is that and you guys, if you watch my interview with Bam the Investor, we did talk about these guys. Sometimes when they get so far in a position that they're shorted, their only option is to continue shorting it. That's the only thing they can do. The way that their method works is when a company goes bankrupt, right? And so it's an educated, when they make these decisions to short a company like they did GameStop, like they did AMC, they made a conscious decision and they really believed it. And that's because the data told them that they should believe it, right? These companies were in major trouble, which is why they take those very aggressive short positions. But as smart as they are, whenever they started realizing that bankruptcy was not going to be a factor in our case, they should have just ate their loss there, but instead they chose to double down. And that shows a lot of irresponsibility in their actions, right? And what they're doing. Although I'm grateful for it because it's going to make you and me rich. But just understand that when they originally took this position, it was a smart play according to their data, right? And we've really taken it to them. None of their approach really works as long as we keep doing what we're doing and holding the shares and obviously buying too. Like if you have the ability to keep buying, you get a bonus, you get some checks coming in, extra money you weren't expecting. Maybe you went to Vegas and your wife, hit the jackpot. Keep, throwing more shares at this. That helps a lot too. But as long as we keep holding and the company is nowhere near bankruptcy, we hold all the cards. You guys already all know this, but it's really important that their process is banking on us going bankrupt, right? That's the end all. That's the end game for them. And it's just not happening. So we have 7,000 shares left available to borrow as of 19 minutes ago, looking absolutely beautiful. Oh, I was getting parched. No, The short borrow free rate, 7.16%. And I did talk about this in previous videos. These lenders, you got to think about it like they're competing for the borrower. So there could be multiple people. Obviously, like right now, maybe not so much because there's only 7,000 shares. But as more shares become available to borrow, these lenders will literally compete with each other and lower their interest rates to entice people to borrow the shares, right? And sometimes they'll even give them the borrowers an interest on the collateral that they're using to borrow too. So they'll actually pay an interest on that collateral as well. So the person borrowing is actually getting a little bit of sprinkle of cash on top. But the thing is people right now are not shorting the stock. So even though they're borrowing it, it's probably a position where they more have to. But this is like a last resort. I think at this point where they're having to borrow a stock to short it, it's like they're grinning when they have to do that. It's not something they want to do right now because it's a losing bet. They're losing money, especially when the price is moving up like it's moving right now. You are going to have these guys, like, I think the last thing that they want to do in their whole entire agenda is short the stock because it's just a losing deal. So I hope that you guys get a little bit of more insight on that. And let's take a look at perhaps... So the short interest right now, we're looking as of the May 25th update, which is probably more likely this date right here, this 14th, because the number's really only reported twice a month. You can see right here. So the first update that we got of the month was 94 million, which is still an increase from where we were at last month. So you could see right now, we're pretty much at the peak, guys. We have not been, this is the highest a short interest has actually ever been. So could be a reason why we're seeing a lot more of our price movement that we're seeing, right? At one point, we did see the short interest is at 55 million, and you could see the actual short interest in terms of the float was 100%. Now, I don't know how much this gets disconnected here. I'm going to be curious to see. I do understand why, because at the time on this 26, actually, I take that back. I do know why. It's because the shares outstanding were only at 287 million. So when they doubled basically the amount of shares outstanding, which is why you've seen this percentage change. But, you know, being that we're at this number, I'm assuming that, especially with all the synthetic shares, at 33% is much, much higher. This is probably a very, very low number, especially being that it's, you know, publicly available data. I do appreciate, you know, all these different services that are giving us this information. But at the end of the day, you know, if you're trying to hide these numbers, but you're forced to release public numbers, you are going to, you know, doctor them up or do whatever you can on your back end to make them look as pretty as possible. So even though it's encouraging, I still think it's on the much lower end of what we're looking at, right? So with that being said, I hope you guys had a great day. We still have about another 50 minutes left in the market. I probably will make another video later on today, or we'll do a live stream. If you appreciated the content, you liked it, please like and subscribe, leave a comment below, turn the notifications on, all that good stuff so we can stay connected. I really do appreciate you guys. I always say this, but you guys have always shown me love, continuously show me love. And I'm just some guy on the internet, you know. I really do like doing this, and I like connecting with you guys. So with that being said,
I'm Jack to the
back to the
tits.
tits, baby. I appreciate you guys. I love you long time. Cheers.